Every dispute holds two different sides. Every objective lens demands honesty. Knowing your fundamental rights, securing absolute justice.
Ma'am, have you been drinking tonight?
No, I haven't.
You smell like booze. Go ahead and step out of the vehicle for me.
I'm not okay.
Yeah, I can see that. Step out now.
It's not alcohol. I have diabetes.
Save it. Out of the car.
I need sugar.
Ma'am.
Please, look, bracelet.
He walked on her like he'd already decided who she was. The dashcam caught it all. The moment Officer Brent Halston's flashlight hit the open driver's door, revealing a woman slumped over her steering wheel, trembling, drenched in sweat. Instead of asking if she was okay, he barked out the first words that would later haunt his entire career. "Hey, you drunk or just stupid? Look at you, can't even sit up straight. What'd you do, pound half a bottle before taking a joyride?" It was past 11:40 p.m. The grocery store parking lot was nearly empty, the glow of a flickering lamppost painting everything in a cold metallic blue. And there, barely conscious, sat Alicia Turner, 32, a medical lab assistant who had been living with type 1 diabetes since she was 14. She'd only stopped for a few minutes to treat what she thought was a mild sugar dip, but it had spiraled fast, too fast. Her hands shook violently, her vision blurred. She never even felt herself open the car door to get fresh air. But Halston didn't see a medical emergency. He saw a target. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Alicia tried to speak, but her words were slurred, thick, trapped behind her slow-moving tongue. I need... "Oh, shut it," Halston snapped, waving his hand in front of his nose dramatically. "You reek of alcohol, and don't play dumb with me. Step out of the vehicle, now." Her breath didn't smell like anything but the sharp metallic tang of dropping blood sugar, something Halston had never bothered to learn about. His rookie training had barely been 6 months old, but he strutted like a man who'd been untouchable for years. And because he felt untouchable, his voice only grew louder. "Move! Don't make me drag you out. I'm not babysitting some drunk woman pretending she's sick." Alicia's right hand twitched toward her purse, where she kept her glucose meter and emergency tabs. Halston saw the movement, misread it instantly, and stepped closer, one hand already dropping to his holster. "What are you reaching for, huh?" he shouted. "I said get out!" Alicia's head fell backward against the seat, her breathing shallow, eyes half closed. That should have been the moment any reasonable officer paused, asked questions, checked vitals, called for medics. Instead, Halston leaned in closer, the flashlight beam trembling with irritation as it lit her drenched face. Sweat rolled down her neck, her skin was cold, her pulse was rapid and weak. Anyone should have seen something was wrong. But the documentary team that later reconstructed this night noted a pattern in Halston's early reports, complaints, and body cam reviews. He escalated fast. He assumed guilt instantly, and he treated black drivers with an edge that never showed up in his paperwork, but was obvious in his tone, his body language, his shortcuts. This night was his boiling point. "Look at you," he muttered under his breath, but loud enough for the mic to catch. Always the same story, always acting like victims. He yanked the door wider and grabbed her forearm. Alicia winced but couldn't pull away, not with her body shutting down, not with her mind fogging over. "Officer, I'm not drunk," she whispered. "Oh, really?" he mocked. "Then stand up. Prove it." Her legs buckled the moment they touched the ground. She collapsed sideways, hitting the pavement hard. Halston didn't react with concern. He reacted with anger. "For God's sake, stop resisting!" he shouted as he pulled her arms behind her. Even though she wasn't resisting, she couldn't. Her cheek pressed against the cold asphalt. Her breath came in short, erratic gasps. The world around her dimmed like a fading radio station. And in that moment, caught on camera, later dissected frame by frame, Halston leaned over her and spat out the accusation that would become the center of the lawsuit. Look, you people are always causing problems. Get it together. He cuffed her while her body trembled uncontrollably, while her blood sugar dropped dangerously low, while her life quietly slipped toward the edge. The injustice wasn't subtle. It wasn't hidden. It was right there in plain sight, unfolding under the harsh beam of his flashlight. Shut. And before the night was over, his mistake would ignite a wave of consequences he never saw coming. If you believe that no one should suffer because of someone else's prejudice or ignorance, share this story and let others know that accountability matters. The moment Alicia hit the ground, the parking lot went silent except for her shallow gasps and the crackle of Halston's radio. The camera angle caught everything, the trembling in her hands, the way her eyelids fluttered like she was fighting to stay awake, and the cold impatience in Halston's face as he tightened the cuffs instead of checking her vital signs. He paced around her like she was a problem he'd been forced to solve. His boots tapped against the asphalt, each step echoing through the nearly empty lot. Unbelievable, he muttered. Middle of the night, drunk out of your mind and now pretending you're dying. I've seen this act 100 times. But even as he complained, Alicia's body told a different story. Her skin had turned pale, almost gray under the lamplight. The sweat soaking her shirt made the cold November air feel like ice. Her fingers twitched uncontrollably, scraping against the pavement as she tried to form words that wouldn't come. Halston didn't notice or didn't care. He reached into her car, rummaging through her purse with zero hesitation. Let's see what we've got here. Pills? Vodka? Maybe a fake ID to go with your fake I'm sick routine? He paused when he saw the glucose meter, lifted it, turned it in his hand, then tossed it back like trash. Yeah? Nice try. Back on the ground, Alicia's mind flickered in and out like a dying bulb. She heard sounds, but not meaning, felt movement, but not direction, and every second she lay there, her blood sugar sank lower. A slow death, and he didn't even know he was watching it happen. A car rolled into the far end of the lot, an older sedan with a pizza sign on the roof. The driver, still in uniform, saw the flashing lights and slowed down instinctively. He wasn't close enough to know what was happening, but he saw a woman lying cuffed on the pavement and a rookie cop pacing with agitation instead of administering aid. Suspicious. He parked a few spaces away and stepped out. That movement irritated Halston instantly. Keep walking, Halston barked, pointing a finger like a warning. This is a police matter. Don't even think about coming over here. The driver hesitated, hands raised halfway, uncertainty written all over his face. Sir, is she okay? She looks like she needs— I said keep moving, Halston snapped. Unless you want to get involved in something that has nothing to do with you. That tone, sharp, hostile, defensive, sent the driver back into his car. He pulled out slowly, but not before glancing one more time at Alicia, still shaking on the ground. And that glance would later become crucial. Back at the scene, Alicia's body had begun to shut down completely. Her breathing turned shallow, her pulse thready. She tried to lift her head, but it dropped immediately. Stop faking, Halston shouted. You're going to the station. You can sleep it off in a cell. He bent down, grabbed her under the arms, and hauled her up with a force that made her knees buckle instantly. She couldn't stand, couldn't balance. Her feet dragged across the pavement as he tried to march her toward the cruiser. Her voice barely formed the single word she had left. Help! Halston scoffed. Save it! But the universe had run out of patience with him. Because at that very second, right as he dragged her past the corner of the building, another patrol car turned into the lot. Slow, controlled, observing everything. Sergeant Dana Boyd, a veteran officer with 21 years on the job, stepped out before Halston could say a word. Her eyes went straight to Alicia, the way her limbs dangled, the unfocused stare, the sweat-soaked clothes. Halston, she said sharply. What's her medical condition? "What condition?" he replied, annoyed. "She's drunk and resisting. I'm transporting her." Boyd stepped closer and touched Alicia's neck with 2 fingers. The pulse she felt was rapid, weak, panicked. Her expression changed immediately. "She's hypoglycemic," Boyd snapped. "She's in diabetic shock. Why isn't EMS here already?" Halston blinked, confused. "She said she wasn't. I thought—" "No thinking," Boyd barked. "Call the ambulance, now." The rookie froze. His arrogance evaporated. His face went pale as the weight of what he'd done finally registered. And Alicia, still barely conscious, leaned against the sergeant's leg, her body shaking violently. This was no misunderstanding. No harmless mistake. This was a medical emergency ignored and nearly fatal. And it was the moment the investigation and the downfall of Brent Halston truly began. If you believe that ignoring someone's suffering is as dangerous as causing it, share this story and remind others that compassion can save lives. The ambulance sirens hadn't even reached the parking lot before the fallout began. Sergeant Boyd crouched beside Alicia, supporting her head with one hand while trying to keep her conscious with the other. "Stay with me, sweetheart. Stay awake. What's your name?" Her voice was steady, commanding, nothing like Halston's frantic stammer behind her. Allie, CIA. The words scraped out of her like it cost her everything. "That's it. Good. You're going to be okay." Boyd brushed damp hair from Alicia's forehead and felt the coldness of her skin, a kind of cold you only felt when the body was running out of fuel. Behind them, Halston hovered like a man watching his own life unravel. His hands shook slightly. His face was drained of color. He opened his mouth twice to speak but couldn't form a single coherent sentence. Boyd didn't look at him, not yet. "Halston, get the med kit from your trunk, now." He sprinted toward his cruiser, fumbling with the latch. His gloves dropped, his flashlight rolled under the bumper. Everything he touched slipped or rattled or clattered. It was the first time he'd ever been on the wrong side of authority, and he didn't know how to handle it. The documentary footage later slowed this moment down, replaying it with chilling clarity. The panic in his movements, the realization setting in, the unmistakable shift from arrogance to dread. When he returned with the kit, Boyd snatched it from his hands without a word and pulled out a glucose-gelled tube, uncapping it with one swift motion. "Alicia, I need you to take this. Just a little. Come on." Alicia's mouth barely opened. The gel smeared across her lips, some slipping inside, some sticking to her chin. But even that small amount helped, slightly. Her breathing steadied. Her eyelids twitched. Halston watched, swallowing hard. For the first time, he saw what she'd been trying to say, what he'd ignored, what he'd mocked. "Sergeant," he whispered. "I didn't know she was—" Boyd snapped her head toward him. "You didn't ask." Those 3 words cut deeper than any suspension letter or lawsuit ever would. By the time EMTs arrived, Alicia was barely clinging to consciousness. They lifted her carefully onto a stretcher, checking vitals, attaching monitors, sliding an IV into her arm. One paramedic glanced at Halston as they worked, shaking his head slowly. What happened here?" he asked. Boyd answered before Halston could speak. "Failure to assess. Failure to call EMS. Physical mishandling of a patient in clear medical distress." The paramedic's jaw tightened. "She's lucky she didn't go into a coma." Halston stepped back, like the words physically struck him. As the stretcher rolled toward the ambulance, Alicia's eyes drifted open for a brief second, just enough to meet his. There was no anger in her face, no accusation, just confusion and fear. That expression would replay in his nightmares for months. And then she was gone, doors closed, sirens rising into the night. Only then did Boyd stand and face him fully. "Rookie or not," she said, "you crossed every line tonight." "I thought she was drunk," he muttered. "Did you test her? Did you check her breath? Did you observe her condition? Did you once consider medical emergency before arrest?" He had no answer. She stepped closer. "You didn't just make a mistake, Halston. You abused your authority and endangered a woman's life. And that camera," she pointed to the pulsing red light on his chest, "captured everything." He shut his eyes. "That'll be turned over to Internal Affairs before sunrise," she added, "and so will my report." The air between them was thick with consequence, heavy, suffocating, impossible to escape. Every insult he'd thrown at Alicia, every assumption, every aggressive move, all of it was coming back for him. A second patrol car arrived, this one with 2 officers who were already briefed by dispatch. They didn't greet him, didn't joke, didn't offer comfort. They simply walked past him with the stiff, cold professionalism reserved for situations that would end careers. One of them leaned toward Boyd. "Lieutenant wants him off duty immediately. Badge and gun." Halston's blood ran cold. Boyd turned to him. "Hand them over." His badge trembled in his palm. His service weapon felt heavier than it ever had. When he placed them in her hands, it wasn't just equipment. It was the surrender of everything he thought he was building. Everything he thought he deserved. As she logged the seizure, she didn't look at him again. "You'll be escorted home," she said flatly. "Internal Affairs will contact you first thing in the morning." And just like that, the night shifted from a scene in a parking lot to the beginning of a public, career-defining implosion. Far away in the back of an ambulance, Alicia was being rushed toward a hospital bed. Here, in the cold glow of a flickering streetlight, Brent Halston realized the truth. His mistake wasn't going to stay in the dark. It was going to explode. If you believe that silence in the face of suffering can be as dangerous as cruelty itself, share this story and remind others that watching isn't enough. Someone has to speak up. The news hit before sunrise, by 6 a.m. The story of Alicia Turner's arrest and near-death diabetic episode had spread across local news channels, social media, and police forums. Dashcam footage, grainy, relentless, undeniable, was already circulating. People were outraged. Experts called it a textbook case of racial profiling and medical negligence. Brent Halston, 24, rookie cop, now sat in the sterile break room of Internal Affairs, his uniform folded neatly on the chair beside him, his hands trembling over a cup of untouched coffee. He had spent the night replaying every word, every action, every insult, every frame of the dashcam that showed Alicia's struggle and his complete failure to notice or care what she was truly going through. Detective Marcus Leland, a seasoned investigator known for meticulous reviews of officer conduct, sat across from him, eyes sharp as a hawk. "Halston," he began, voice even, "you were entrusted with public safety, not just enforcement. You were entrusted with judgment. You ignored that, and you endangered a life. How do you explain this?" I thought she was drunk," Halston stammered, voice cracking. "I didn't realize." "You didn't realize," Leland repeated slowly, leaning back. "Alicia Turner had type 1 diabetes. She was in diabetic shock. And you, rookie or not, treated a medical emergency as a crime scene. That is negligence. That is misconduct. And yes, that is racism in action." "Aye." The words hit like blows. His hands went limp in his lap. The reality that every insult, every assumption, every aggressive move toward Alicia wasn't just morally wrong, it was professionally catastrophic, finally sank in. By midday, the department announced that Halston was placed on indefinite administrative leave. His badge and firearm had been formally surrendered. Complaints were filed, lawsuits drafted, and Alicia, now stabilized in a hospital bed, had begun the first stages of a civil suit that would capture national attention. Meanwhile, investigators pieced together the events of that night for public record. Witnesses came forward, drivers, store employees, and even a passerby who had filmed portions on their phone. Every account aligned. Alicia had been cooperative, confused, and extremely ill, yet Halston had escalated without reason. Public outrage grew. Social media lit up with hashtags calling for accountability. Medical professionals chimed in, explaining the signs of diabetic shock. Activists highlighted the racial bias in the officer's behavior. Experts weighed in. No protocol had been followed. The rookie cop's arrogance, combined with inexperience and bias, nearly cost a life. Halston's defense team scrambled. They argued in court that he acted under reasonable suspicion. But the evidence was damning. The dashcam showed him mocking Alicia, calling her derogatory names, dragging her across asphalt while she trembled and begged for help. The sergeant's intervention, the paramedic's testimony, the medical reports, all formed a mountain of undeniable truth. Alicia, meanwhile, became the face of cautious resilience. In interviews, she didn't dwell on hatred or revenge. She spoke about awareness, about understanding medical conditions, about accountability. Her story resonated far beyond that small parking lot. It became a national conversation about policing, bias, and human error. Months later, the civil lawsuit concluded. The city council approved a settlement for Alicia Turner. A record $4.5 million, public acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and mandatory reform in police medical response training. Halston's name was officially removed from the force. The rookie who had thought he could act above scrutiny had lost everything: career, reputation, and credibility. Yet, amid the legal and financial aftermath, the human truth remained. Alicia survived because intervention came in time. Halston's downfall was total because accountability did. And the story served as a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that when prejudice meets ignorance, lives are endangered. But when truth is exposed, justice can prevail. The parking lot where it all happened remained, a cold, unassuming place. But the memory of that night lingered. Footage, reports, interviews, all preserved in the public record as proof that vigilance, compassion, and awareness can, and must, override bias. If you believe that standing up for what's right can change everything, share this story and let others know that justice can prevail.
Transparency is an ongoing commitment, and education provides your greatest safeguard. Thank you for watching and empowering a truthful world.